All right, we will get started. Just a quick introduction. My name is Nathan Fish. I'm Director of Product here at CircleCI. Did mention I'm located in Southern California. I've been with the company about 6.5 years. Um, Super excited to talk to you today about how we're thinking about 2026. I'm not going to go over a list of features. There are a number of capabilities we're going to talk about, but we're thinking about very deliberate bets and big problems we're headed into in 2026. So we've kind of grouped them around six big themes. I'm going to talk about the problems we're solving within those themes. Uh, so let's get right to it. One note, there is a QA module at the bottom. Please feel free to ask questions. I will try to answer some of those questions during the presentation, but I will make sure that we leave time at the end to answer as many questions as we can. And there's also captions if you want to enable that. Let's see if we can advance the slides. There we go. All right. So I'm going to set some context for everything we're going to talk about today. So AI coding tools have fundamentally changed the pace of code creation, right? Cursor, Copilot, Windsurf. Your engineers are probably already using them today. And the problem isn't the speed of creation and the speed of delivery aren't the same thing, right? Agents write fast, but they're flying blind. They don't know your team's conventions, your compliance requirements, what actually works in your production environment. The result is a fast code generation, but slow, risky delivery. And that gap is exactly what we're building for to close, right? Writing code was slow, right? Creation was the constraint. But now agents are writing code like 10x faster, right? And validation has become the constraint. And the industry has noticed this. So Dan Lorek, the assistant mayor of Gastown, uh, has been writing a lot about this and creating a lot of AI tooling. But the bottleneck isn't writing code anymore, right? Every analyst, peer, every customer we talk to is saying the same thing, right? Code generation is becoming extremely fast. Agents are shipping PRs at an amazing pace. Green CI, validation is the critical thing. And it's not just him, right? Paul Dix, CTO of InfluxDB, saying very similar things. The bottleneck is becoming the review, testing, and release. So, why CircleCI, right? We're specialists. And right now, specialists win. As the market is moving way too fast for platforms, generalists to try and do everything. Our job is to be the best possible validation layer for how software gets built today, and increasingly how it gets built by agents. We're focused on both the local developer experience, what we refer to as the AI assisted inner loop, and the traditional CI CD outer loop, both of which combined, right, achieve the productivity gains of AI assisted development. Can't have one without the other. So, our goal for our customers in 2026 is to see those gains become realistic, right? The reality, right? And we're already seeing this from our customers that are leveraging our platform. You see this in the State of Software Delivery report that recently came out. I think a previous webinar by Ron really went into depth here. But the distance between engineering teams isn't shrinking, it's exploding, right? The number one organization this year on our platform ran 10 times the throughput of last year's leader. And this isn't one team getting a little faster, right? This is new tier of performance opening up, where some teams compound their velocity every cycle while others plateau. And the difference isn't AI coding tools because everyone has access to the same coding tools. The difference is in the delivery infrastructure behind it. These teams, this new tier is shipping AI generated code safely at scale with full visibility in the quality and the cost. So the question is, where does your team sit on this curve today? And our goal for you all is to create the tool set that allows you to achieve those productivity gains. So what are we building in 2026? I'm going to walk you through all six of these themes: agent-driven development, faster feedback, AI for the software delivery lifecycle, mobile development, specifically iOS mobile development, test analytics and code quality, and usage and spend analytics. Again, these are all themes that are set to uh, connect on a set of investments directed in the same direction, right? Giving developers and their agents the fastest and most trustworthy path from code to production. Increased value and ROI for every single pipeline run. And as I go through these, we'll talk about the problems faced in those themes and then our solutions to those themes. And we'll talk a little bit about what's coming in Q1 and then what comes after, right? All right. First one, agent-driven development. The big problem here, agents are flying blind. They don't know what good looks like. They don't know what compliance and security requirements you have. They don't have access to your history, your PR reviews, historical context, right? It's not hypothetical, right? Teams are adopting AI coding tools and they're hitting this wall. And the commits are coming in super fast. Pipelines are breaking. Someone has to stop what they're doing and do debugging, right? And it increases as more and more of your teams adopt these AI tooling, right? Velocity increases for your engineers, but it hits this wall, right? And the productivity gains stop. The metrics we're watching, right, are agent initiated commits, the generation of code, but then it's not shipping because of all this wasted time, right? So how do we solve for that? Right. So we recently launched Chunk CLI. This bridges the gap between that inner outer loop. It gives you a set of useful tools that work standalone. It's open source, so you can use it. You don't need to be a CircleCI customer. Still gives you a lot of value in providing context and faster feedback to your agents within that inner loop. So your developers are creating better, higher quality PRs that when they do ship those PRs to the outer loop, right? There's less chance of friction there. But we're also working on smarter testing in the inner loop. So when that agent runs its test, it's only running the tests that matter. All right. Faster, secure agent compute. So super fast, always available, cloud compute, isolated compute so that the agent is secure and safe, right? It can run your tests, has compliance guardrails, audit logging, uh, really give you the fastest availability, right, to run the agent work. And then an organizational level context engine, right? So teach agents what good looks like for your company, for your organization. Bring in all those team conventions, review patterns, and the code basics as a whole. What this means for you is agents ship faster and more safely, right? Speed gains that are real. So really giving you that capability in that inner loop. Faster feedback. My goodness. So speed is table stakes in CI/CD. What we're trying to do is differentiate on intelligent speed. It's not just about bigger resource classes, getting the fastest CPU time, right? The goal is to it's important to get faster wall clock time, yes, but it's also about getting the right feedback into developer hands as fast as possible to keep them moving, keep them in the flow, right? We just talked about like the plan for the local developer cycle, moving super fast. This is about talking about the kind of traditional feedback loop. We've done the math on this. The cost of slow feedback in developer hours is compounding daily. When AI gets involved, right, this becomes more and more of a problem. You have bigger PRs, you have more tests to run. That delay in feedback gets larger, and we want to make sure that we can keep it as short as possible. Particularly every failed run, right, means an interruption, a retry cycle, your costs go up. Pipelines run regardless of whether tests are relevant to your changes, and developers are dropping out of that workflow, right, to resolve issues. What ends up happening, right, is your cost per pipeline increases linear as your pipelines run. And there's not that economies of scale that you want to see. So what we're doing to solve that problem. Next gen resource classes. We recently launched this. They're faster, they're more performance. They bring down your wall clock time. In some cases, they decrease your costs. Great tool. That's just the continuation of our platform. Smarter testing, currently in preview, can see a 70 to 90% reduction in time while not decreasing the quality in your signal, right? So what that means is, hey, we're not going to run all your tests. We're going to run only the tests that matter. It's great for running on branches. You wouldn't want to run this on your main line, right? Mainline, you're going to want to run all your tests. But from a developer feedback loop, this really decreases the time to get that feedback to your developers. Actionable notifications, email, Slack, webhooks, interactive notifications. It's not just about, hey, your build failed. Your build failed because of these reasons. Click this button, we'll rerun, or we'll do whatever you need to do to fix it, right? Intelligent fast failures. Stop the pipeline immediately. Hey, this one job failed. Don't continue with anything else. Sibling jobs, all that stuff. Just stop, get the fastest feedback possible so that you can take action and then rerun it. And then orchestration. Be very targeted, both in an inbound perspective via webhooks and filtering. Make sure that you're only running pipelines that you care about. Asynchronous jobs, don't be pulling, right? Do the things that matter. Why does this matter for you, right? What we're trying to do is get the fastest feedback possible, but also to decrease your your feedback loop, your cost per pipeline, right? So as your number of pipelines are running, AI is generating more and more pipeline runs, more PRs. You're going to expect to see a cost of your CI over time go up, right? But your cost per pipeline should generally go down. You're going to see those efficiency gains. And that efficiency gain is going to allow you to gain more from your AI development, right? More PRs, more iterations, faster feature delivery, compounding over time. All right, here's a fun one. AI for the software delivery lifecycle. This is Chunk. We launched Chunk a while ago. What's the key thing here? Someone always has to babysit the pipeline, right? Even in a high functioning engineering org, CI/CD requires a constant human attention, right? Flaky tests, broken builds, debugging, config optimization. Everyone I talk to, engineering leaders, individual developers, they're still spending a significant amount of time every week keeping their pipelines healthy. And as agent authored code scales, that volume of change, it goes up. It doesn't go down. And that economy of scale isn't improving, right? So how do we make that better for you? Chunk's the answer here, right? An assistant that fixes your pipelines. It's like a professional helper, sometimes referred to as like that night janitor that goes in and just takes care of things for you. What we're focused on right now, Q1, is just improving the accuracy. We have a number of capabilities that Chunk has rolled out with and is available to you now. The accuracy has been a challenge, and we've been focused on improving that to get to like a 30 to 50% accuracy. But there are some new things that we're bringing out. Chunk is an agent so that you can set up your own agentic workflows, your controls, giving it more context, giving it the ability to do the things that you want it to do, right? Failure diagnosis, doing more root cause analysis and actionable fix recommendations, auto healing pipelines, right? Pipeline failure, doing more conversational debugging. Why did my last three builds fail? And then config gen and optimization. Really using that, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the last two items of how Chunk can really turn a lot of our data that we're going to make available to you into very actionable and easy to adopt recommendations. That means is engineering time is reclaimed, right? CI maintenance doesn't become a burden for the team. Agent development cycles stay blocked, right? And the platform team is able to scale their impact without having to scale their headcount. All right, this is a fun one. Uh, to date, setting up iOS development on CircleCI has been somewhat painful, right? It's a lot of scripting. We are looking at this over time. It's been great from a customer perspective in that you have back-end teams, mobile teams, working together on CircleCI, right? Have access to all the capabilities and functionalities, but it's still challenging, um, particularly code signing and distribution. Our focus for this year is to make iOS a first-class experience. Make it as easy as possible to set up, easy as possible to run. And so the first piece of that in Q1 is automated iOS code signing. So connect to the App Store, certificate management, auto renewal, kind of in that certificate management hell, right? So you can sign your builds very easily within the application without all the scripting nightmare. Second phase of that, integration with test flight, over there updates, all the other things that you would expect from a first class kind of iOS experience. And yes, we are focused on iOS first, Android potentially second. But Android is, as you know, very, very broad ecosystem. Google just announced that they are supporting other app stores, so maybe that'll change. But for now, we are focused on iOS. All right. Test analytics and code quality. This is one of the what I would consider an underappreciated problem in the CI space. And to be honest, it's probably getting worse with AI and the ease of which tests are generated. Both bad and good tests. Uh, each pipeline run is generating valuable information, right, for organizations that are, potentially throwing it away. The data exists in this blob that we get stored, JUnit test results, but the intelligence on top of that data just doesn't exist, at least not in our platform. And to be honest, in a lot of our competitors, it's very non-actionable, right? And if you're accountable for quality metrics, that tooling, the ability to measure that and create actionable insights on top of it just doesn't exist, right? What flaky tests are accumulating silently and dragging down your CI reliability, how healthy is your test suite? Those quality issues, surface in production instead of in your pipelines, right? And teams overinvest in test infrastructure without knowing where the actual problems might be. having a longitudinal view of a test suite, health trends, connecting test quality to business impact. There's no path from something is slow to here's where to fix it. Right? So our focus for this year, Q1, project and org test analytics, multi-dimensional health data, far beyond the pass fail. So taking that current test data, providing that longitudinal view, giving you insight into your flaky tests, your errors, your pass fail, giving you really deep insight into both at a project level and at an organizational level, where is the health of your testing, of your projects, of your quality, both at a branch level and as well as a mainline. So really diving deeply there. After that, right, we're looking at going into more deep on flaky tests, but also test coverage. So critical path detection, risk scoring, and then finally, a recommendations engine. This is where Chunk really comes into to shine, is we can make recommendations on where there are real big impacts, right? What are the flaky tests that are causing you the greatest grief, the highest number of reruns? Where is there an increase in failure rates? Have Chunk fix those for you, right? Give you the top five highest impact opportunities from a quality perspective that will significantly change the outcome of the quality or the health of your software. All right. Next up, usage and spend analytics. So in talking to a lot of our larger customers, they're constantly being asked to just justify their spend. All right. A lot of times they're just forwarding the monthly invoice, hoping for the best. Um, they're downloading our usage data. We have a usage API, and they're importing that, creating reports, analyzing their spend. Here's the rub, right? With AI generated code, costs are going to scale up, right? You're running more pipelines. Without the ability to transition that to understanding the actual value, the actual breakdown of your pipelines, your build, your cost per pipeline, it's very hard to understand if you're getting more efficient over time and if that efficiency is worth further investment. You have no context. You can't identify which teams or pipelines are driving the most cost. You can't distinguish between high value and waste, where to scale and where to cut, right? CI becomes just that line item. It's hard to defend sometimes. And budget conversations become really reactive. And that waste accumulates invisibly with redundant runs, oversized resources, and unoptimized configs. What we would like to do is provide cost intelligence, not just a bill, right? So your CFO loves us. Your engineering leaders love us. What we've delivered to date, budget controls for teams and projects, and we'll continue to invest there. In Q1, plan insights and forecasting, just at a high level, give you some insight into usage, forecastability that leads to better budget controls. Um, and then getting deeper, executive and project dashboards. Really go deep on cost per team, per project, per service, per pipeline cost. Identify waste, identify efficiency, set benchmarks. Who's the best performing team? Where can you make improvements? Where uh, where are there cost opportunity improvements? And then recommendations, optimization recommendations. Again, bring Chunk in and allow us to make the top level recommendations. Top five, use Chunk to make those recommendations actionable and easy to adopt. And then a spend API. We really want to make sure that if you are using a product like Vantage or FinOut, You're able to use that easily, just from a pure line item accounting perspective, right? Why is that great? Engineers can defend and optimize their CI spend, particularly in a world where AI is going to drive an increase in pipelines run. But that shouldn't be at a decrease in efficiency. It should be at an increase in efficiency. And you should be able to look at that and say, this is great because CI is getting more efficient over time and helping me deliver higher quality into production. All right. I do see some questions here. Yes, some of these items are gated by your plan type, and that is always up for negotiation, so it's worth discussing. Usage and spend analytics be available. We should have the a first pass at the project level dashboards or insights, uh, end of Q1, early Q2. That's an estimate, but it's being actively worked on right now. Let's see. All right, I'm going to move on. Oops. Let's see if I can. All right. So quick recap. One objective, six themes, right? Remove the friction between developer and shipping with confidence, right? All these themes are connected around one thing, right? The world is moving really fast. Teams that ship with AI generated code, we want to enable them to ship with confidence and outpace the ones that are still debugging pipelines manually, right? We want to close that gap. We want to make sure our customers are able to gain the most from AI developed code, gain those great efficiencies, agents that get context, developers get feedback fast, pipelines that fix themselves, mobile teams that ship without fighting their tooling, quality data, spend that becomes accountable, right? And teams that stay competitive as AI rewrites how software gets built. It's a really fast changing market. We want to make sure that you're ahead of the game. So, a few questions to think about, not that you need to answer them. Where are agents creating the most rework or delaying your delivery pipeline today? Something to look at. Which teams are your highest cost pipeline consumers, and do you know why? How are you thinking about test quality and coverage as AI generated code scales? Do you know what your cost per pipeline is now? Is it going up or down on average as AI generated code increases in your organization? All right. That's the end. Open for questions if folks have questions. Oh, the acronym for usage spend analytics will not be USA. I did not even think about that. Go USA, I guess? No, that's terrible. We'll ask if there's anything that was not on the roadmap. I did not cover actually everything that is on our roadmap, but if there's anything that someone was hoping to see on the roadmap or any particular feature that they would love to see us considering, love to see that in the comments, Q&A as well. What is gated and where? Right now, the only thing that's really gated would be the budget control functionality where you can set budgets. That is the only item that's gated to scale currently. Everything else will be available to all customers, including reporting or the test analytics and stuff like that. I will say that there will most likely be an additional cost um, for smarter testing and at some point for Chunk when they both go GA. They're both in a preview or beta state. Guess there's no additional questions. Well, thank you everyone for your time. We will make the webinar available as a recording for folks that want to rehash it, because I know I'm so exciting to listen to. Um, Thank you.